Hello, welcome to the release notes video for Option Workbench version 4.1. This release contains some performance enhancements that reduce the startup time, as well as some minor bug fixes. In this video, I'll review the major usability changes, as well as highlight some new data. A significant change in version 4.1 is the handling of the profile date. Just for review, the profile date is the date used to read the data from the strategy zone. When you open Option Workbench, it will choose the profile date based on the most recent data available on the strategy zone. This is generally the prior US trading day from the current date. Since this video is being recorded on Tuesday, April 14th, the profile date chosen for the home page is April 13th. The home page, each option profile page, and each spread profile page allow you to choose a profile date. Note that there is always an overlap for the current trade date. If I choose April 14th, the current US trade date, I will see the data for the most recent date available on the strategy zone, April 13th. If I choose that day, I will see the same data. The toolbar that showed the overall profile date, the trade date, and the risk-free rate has been removed. The trade date was actually not necessary and caused some confusion. The risk-free rate can be viewed and changed by choosing the Settings option from the Tools menu and selecting the risk-free rate panel. This table displays the last 10 years of the 90-day U.S. Treasury Bill Index IRX. The rate for the current date, April 14th, will update periodically during trading hours. If you want to change the risk-free rate used in option pricing calculations, simply enter a new rate in the table on the appropriate date. Since there is only one risk-free rate for any trade date, changing the interest rate here will affect all option pricing calculations for that date. The risk-free rate is also visible on any option pricing sheet. Each option profile contains some exciting new data. The option volume fields have been expanded to include the 20, 50, and 100-day average for calls, puts, and total volume. These new fields allow greater flexibility for liquidity filtering as well as identifying unusual volume patterns. Each of these values is available in a filter formula. A new set of columns for the standard and weighted put-call ratio have also been added. The new values include the current reading for the put-call ratio, the ranking of the current reading, the percentile of that reading, the most recent put-call ratio signal, and the date on which the signal was made. Each of these values is also available for filtering. This filter, a weighted put-call ratio by signal filter, demonstrates the usage of these columns. First, I want the current weighted ratio signal to be a buy signal. I want the percentile of the weighted ratio to be higher than the 70th percentile, and the rank to be at least 70%. This ensures that the signal occurs at a relatively high level on the put-call ratio chart. The next two criteria illustrate some other important new features of filtering as well. First, I want to make sure that the signal is confirmed by at least 5 days of trading. To do this, I use the new date diff function to measure the number of days between the weighted ratio signal date and the newly available profile date field. I also want to make sure that the signal is not too old. To do this, I use the date diff function to ensure that the signal occurred less than 20 days ago. 20 days ago is relative to the profile date. This means that for each profile date, the constraints will adjust automatically. Finally, for liquidity, I want names where the 100-day total average volume is over 2,500 contracts. 3 new columns have been added to the covered call and naked put profiles: the intrinsic value of the option, the time value of the option, also known as the extrinsic value, and the delta of the short option position. Some traders prefer to use the option delta as a proxy for the probability of the option expiring in the money. The Risk Analysis dashboard page now contains a summary panel showing the current trade date activity for the underlying. The summary panel is visible from all the Analysis Tools subpages. Of course, the option profile band shows the new data for the underlying. On the volatility study, the visibility of the vertical crosshair and the associated table are now controlled by a button on the toolbar. In conjunction with the new volume and put-call ratio data available in an option profile, the put-call ratio analysis page has also been overhauled. The smoothing parameters have been standardized and removed from the toolbar. You can still choose between the weighted and standard ratios. You can choose a time frame of 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 years of visible data on the chart. The underlying price is now displayed as a standard bar chart showing open, high, low, and close points. For equities, earnings dates are marked on the chart. This can help earnings event traders identify volume signals that may appear prior to earnings announcements. The put-call ratio signals are now marked on the chart as well. A green upward pointing triangle indicates a buy signal. A red downward facing triangle indicates a sell signal. A new option volume chart has been added as well. The height of the bar indicates the total option volume for the day. The blue area on the chart represents call volume and the green area put volume. There is also a 20-day simple moving average line superimposed on the volume chart. Clicking the crosshair button controls the visibility of the chart crosshairs and a detail panel that shows the chart values for the day indicated by the vertical crosshair. As mentioned earlier, the risk-free rate for the trade date is now visible on each option pricing sheet. Clicking the risk-free rate link opens the risk-free rate table in the Settings dialog. If I change the rate for the corresponding date, the new rate is reflected in the pricing sheet, and all numbers of the pricing sheet are recalculated using the new risk-free rate. The pricing sheet now contains the open interest for each option in addition to the trading volume. The price of a position can now be entered into the table on the position analysis screen. Make sure to enter a negative price for a credit and a positive price for a debit. The theoretical P&L matrix in the risk detail report now shows the probability associated with a move of the given number of standard deviations. Note that when using a fat tail distribution, the probabilities are not symmetric, and a move of 0 standard deviations does not have a 50% probability. You can now choose how to mark your position's unrealized P&L. Using the P&L preferences on the Settings panel, you can decide whether to mark to market or mark to mid. The P&L monitor shows the current bid and ask price of the underlying as well as the daily trading volume. To view the full daily summary of the underlying, click the underlying price. All of these fields update during the trading day, of course. To examine the details of an open position, I click on the position link. This will open the detail viewer, and I can test my volatility assumptions and produce updated risk reports. But suppose I want to see whether an adjustment would help my position. For example, I bought this delta neutral straddle on VZ because there was some unusual call activity. The delta is now over 100, so I want to see the effect of selling some stock to re-neutralize the position. To do this, I click on the details icon, and Option Workbench will send a copy of the position to the Position Analysis tool. I'll make a copy of this position so I can add a short stock leg and do some further analysis. This concludes the Release Notes video for Option Workbench version 4.1. If you have any questions regarding this release or any other questions about Option Workbench in general, please send an email to support@optionworkbench.com.